Welcome back, fellow aviation lovers and enthusiasts, to the Frontier Virtual Podcast. You're joining me here in episode 18. Let me just stop here and say 18 episodes. This absolutely blows my mind. When I first started this podcast with Matt, I never imagined that it would still be going to this day. Over a year, and we've gotten 18 episodes, and I'm so impressed. Thank you for sticking with us, and we'll get right into this episode. I know a lot of you guys are excited for the update. I'm ready to give it. I'm excited. It's been a while that I've been thinking about putting this update out, so let's get right in. As always, I am Infinite Flight, your host and captain on today's episode. Joining me in the first seat as my first officer today is the ever wildly adored and loving Matt. Matt, welcome to the podcast back.
Hello, Robert. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you here. And also joining us as our flight engineer. I'm sorry, that was amazing. Anyway, joining us as our flight engineer is Drew. Drew, welcome back to the podcast.
How y'all doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. For those joining us live, thank you so much for tuning in. I know I saw a lot of people in the chat. We got William with us. We got Allegiant Air pretending to be Infinite Flight Gaming. We've got Sebro4, Ryan Green, Kayaden, Hafen. Guys, thank you so much. I know Nathan's listening. He and I have been keeping in touch, and he's been very excited for this update. So without further ado, just want to shout out those who are tuning in live. Thank you so much. If you're watching this back as a pre-recorded episode and you actually know more than I do at this point, because I don't even know how this episode's ending, I congratulate you, and I'd like to know your secrets to time travel. I do hope we answer all of your questions and that you get a glimpse into what it's like being part of Frontier Virtual. Welcome, one and all. You can find us on our social media sites, including our website, Frontier Virtual Airlines, if.weebly.com. You can find us on our Instagram page at Frontier VA, which is led by the wonderful Matt. You can find us on the Frontier Community Forums. That's the Infinite Flight Community Forums. My apologies. Just type in Frontier Virtual Airlines, and the most up to date will be the link that we're using, as well as our YouTube channel here. Which, I mean, if you're here, you found our YouTube channel, so congrats on that. Today's episode, we will be discussing Frontier Virtual. What's about to change? We're going to wrap up 2 years of history. We are going to be discussing the future, and we are going to be closing up some chapters and getting ready to basically change how Frontier Virtual operates. And you're more than welcome to take take this information whichever way you want. We're just here delivering it. We hope that it lives up to the hype that it's been getting. So thank you again for tuning in, and let's just start off by chatting it up. Matt, how are you doing? What's your day been like? And what are your thoughts going into this episode without actually giving out, of course, what the update is?
In terms of the update, I'm definitely a little bit nervous on how people will receive it, but I'm also very hopeful for what it'll bring to the airline and the future of the airline. And overall, my day's been very good. Right now, I'm cruising over Iceland with Adam Callow from IFATC, and I'm just having a good time.
Good, yeah. For those who don't know, I was also able to be graced with IFATC certification. So if you see me or Matt on the expert server as IFATC, feel free to hit us up, DM us, and we'll be happy to talk to you. As I know he's fiddling back there with the engineer's controls, but Drew, if you could take your attention, what's up, my man? How are you doing today? What are your thoughts going to this episode?
Well, I'm a little excited, a little nervous, like Matt said, but I think it'll be interesting going forward. It'll be a good change, I think.
And I'm looking forward to this change too. But I want to announce the change. It is involving me. A lot of people were speculating that it would be something to do. I actually had one person say, "Oh my gosh, you got the Real World Frontier Airlines to sponsor you or something?" No, not that big of a news. I'm sorry, Frontier representative who is watching this, of course. If you want to sponsor us, I'm not going to say no to that. But no,
email us.
I mean, they sponsor me kind of, but no, I'm just kidding. No, the news isn't that. It is involving me, and I will be absolutely, I don't know if I should say happy, but I will be interested to see your reactions. But again, we're going to push that to the end of the episode because I don't want to spoil the surprise, as it were. This part of the podcast here is going to be talking about going forward. We're going to wrap up the past at the end, but let's present the future with the Bombardier. Drew, I need some kudos for that. Bombardier CRJ 700, which if you have been living under a rock or you have taken a vacation from Infinite Flight, they now have released the CRJ 700 series aircraft. The 200, 900, and 1000 variants are coming out at a later point in time, but I don't honestly care about those because none of those have the Frontier livery. I'm just excited because the CRJ 700 is, drumroll please, the one that has our Frontier livery. So we're going to go around the table here. We'll start with Drew this time. Drew, what are your thoughts on the CRJ 700 on its on the livery? Do you like just overall when you first spawned in and looked around and checked all the actions and the mood lighting? What were your first impressions? Are you impressed by it? Do you think now that you're going to hold Infinite Flight to a higher standard now that they show they can do this, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very high standard. So I'm looking forward to the other ones in the future. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, but we'll see. But yeah, very nice. Opening doors and all that. The windshield wiper is pretty cool too.
Yeah, a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people speculating now with the windshield wipers that weather's coming to Infinite Flight. Of course, that's unconfirmed. So don't say, oh, well, the guys at FVACast said weather's coming. We didn't. It's unconfirmed, but it does raise the question, is it just for aesthetic or is it actually going to have a purpose coming up? So I'm really excited to see where this is going. Matt, what are your thoughts on it? I know for those who don't know, Matt is a VATSIM controller. He is X-Plane 11 oriented. He loves the realistic factor. So at your current level of expectations of that Infinite Flight can succeed, what are your thoughts on the CRJ that's out now, Matt?
I say overall it's a very good airplane. I mean, the cabin feature, that's a big step up for Infinite Flight, and I think it's definitely going in the right direction. However, there definitely are some things such as physics, and the cockpit is. I feel the cockpit is a little bit too smoothed out. I think the MD-11 is a lot more crisp looking in the cockpit. I feel like they took a step back from MD-11 in terms of cockpit texturing.
So you like the way they did the MD-11 cockpit?
Yes, I think it's a lot more vibrant, a lot crisper.
Wow, a compliment of that size is pretty impressive. I'm glad you're enjoying the MD-11. Do you have hopes that the future variants coming out will be different in their cockpit, or do you think this is like the set norm for the CRJ?
I think it's going to be the same as like the AC-20 series, where it's the same exact cockpit, just copied over.
Okay, and I mean, if that gets those aircraft out to us faster, I'll be honest, I will settle with having the less developed cockpit. But like Matt said, there are always thing development studios can improve, but that's true for everything we do. So I'm just excited that CRJ came out, and I know with this update, with this news that I'm going to share, I'm a little bit disappointed it came out when it did, and I'll explain that in a little bit. First, let me go ahead and let me pose a question to you guys in the chat while we are talking it up here. What are your guys' thoughts on the Bombardier CRJ 700? And do you guys have any questions about it? The route system, hubs, focus cities? Drop your questions below. I'm going to ask Matt and Drew another question, and then we'll get back to you guys. So feel free to drop comments.
All right. Don't mind. I'm going to chime in if that's right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to go back on the weather thing. I don't think they'll add that personally, just as a mobile. I just don't think it just has the processing power to be able to handle
to handle that.
Because it already is enough RAM already. The game by itself, I just don't think that it can do it.
And the chances that there's not a whole lot more. Infinite Flight had really pushed the resources in terms of satellite scenery and the memory in that sense. So I say they're going to need to wait a couple years at least for more advanced technology to come out before they are able to push a system-wide update such as weather or 3D buildings, for example. And the only reason X-Plane, the mobile version, is able to do that is because they are confined areas. It's not like the whole world, which is a magic crap ton of storage in it.
So from what I'm getting off of you, we'll go back to Drew in a sec, but Matt, from what I'm getting from you, back when Infinite Flight had regions, would you say at that point in time, if they updated to their current model, but they just had the regions instead of global, that weather may have been a more feasible thing than it is in this current stage?
That's why I'm predicting. However, I'm not really familiar with the way they stream data to the mobile servers for the satellite scenery. So it's possible that it can happen.
And okay, and like you said, maybe a couple years, but from what the way it sounds like you're saying, you're not giving up on the idea that it may happen. It's just not feasible with current technology. Is that how you're looking at it?
Right.
Okay, and that's a completely valid view, and I think that no matter what our current electronic devices are, as time goes on, they're going to get more advanced. So I also agree with that statement, Drew. What do you think? Do you think time will help, or do you think it's just not something feasible?
I mean, time will definitely help in the future, but the same thing, PCs are going to get more advanced in the future as well. So there's just no point in trying to optimize the mobile to do something like that. Just buy a PC at that point. You're trying too much for a mobile for a simulator. It's just not, to me anyways, it just doesn't seem worth it.
Interesting. So we sorry, my for those listening in, I'm starting to get sick, so I do apologize if I clear my throat. But from what Drew is saying, or from what it sounds like Drew's saying, we got the one hand side of, this is a mobile simulator, guys. You can only expect so much. They're not gonna. It's not the next X-Plane 11. It's just a mobile simulator. And then we got Matt's view, where just give it a few years and it'll be not up to X-Plane 11 standards, but it will be as advanced as a mobile sim can get. I'm interested to see which way Infinite Flight's going to take this and Fly Development Studios. I'm actually really curious to see the next couple of years. I think the biggest update that could supersede weather or buildings for me is airport night lighting. So I'm hoping to see some of those big updates coming out pretty soon. I'm gonna look down in that chat and look at the questions that you guys ask. You guys always. I do apologize if I butcher some names. I'm truly sorry. The Yashin fan 200 said the CRJ is amazing. Will Frontier Jet Express come back? I'm gonna take this to mean you mean like the VA. And for those who don't know, we used to have a subsidiary called Frontier Jet Express. I think it was actually Frontier Express Jet. We switched it around just because we didn't want to be identical to the real world historical airline. But the answer in the long short is I personally, as the current CEO, I personally at this current point in time am not planning on bringing it back. But weeks, months, years down the road, I don't know where I'll be. I don't know where the airline's going to be. So all I can say is for me right now, I don't have plans of bringing it back. But who knows? If enough demand and people want it, it may be something that we get to look forward to. I think there were a lot of reasons that it shut down. There just wasn't the majority of Jet Express was for the CRJ, and we waited as long as we could. But when the A321 came out with the Frontier livery, all the hype dropped over the CRJ, and we kind of felt that our subsidiary wasn't up to standards, and we couldn't hold it for the months or what we expected to be the months, even year that the CRJ would take to come out. So that's the reason it was dropped initially. I honestly don't see us bringing it back. But again, I said I don't know where this airline's going to be. A year. Even I don't even know where we're going to be. A week down the road. So who knows? But thank you very much for the question, Matt. Drew, did you have any final thoughts on that?
I'd say that a lot of the other staff members also agree that we stopped it because it kind of branched our VA into two separate categories. We'd rather have it be one big family for a VA where everyone can fly anything. So I don't think any of us have a plan to bring it back in the near future.
And Drew, any comments from you?
Nah, same thing.
Okay.
I mean, we have established routes right now anyway, so it's kind of the same thing, really.
Yeah. And that was what Matt says is basically what Matt said. Sorry, it's basically the reason that we kind of tossed that project out. It was taking too much of our attention. I know from personal experience that it was actually taking up more attention of that I could be devoting to FVA. So we tabled the project, but thank you very much for the question. Hyphen Day. Oh gosh, I know I'm going to be ridiculed later for mispronouncing these names, but he says we need more RJs, and I was actually going to talk to Matt about this. What are your thoughts on like what we have now is good, but what are your thoughts on future regional jets, and what regional jet would you like to see? That I mean, maybe the 700 is one you like and you're happy, but what regional jet would you like to see going forward, Matt?
I really want to see the ERJs.
Okay, like as in like
the
the
140, 145, for
okay,
example.
that's what I was
The
talking.
very
Okay,
small ones.
so basically the what I like to consider from visual aspect the kind of
The
Canadian
deformed
copies.
CRJ.
Yeah, basically the deformed squash piddly looking things. I'm sorry, I don't have anything against Embraer, but I think CRJ or Bombardier definitely took the cute look on the regional. Thank you for the question, Drew. Did you have any what regional jet would you like to see in the future?
No, I agree. The ERJ, the 140, 145,
Yeah.
135.
And I know Deer Crusher, who is an Infinite Flight Community Forum moderator and an IFATC supervisor, he flies the ERJ 145, I want to say, for, I don't actually remember the regional carrier, and I apologize, Deer Crusher, but yeah, he does fly those. So that would be interesting to have him on the podcast. I've been trying to get him on the podcast for several weeks now. He's open to it, but he's just been too busy. So maybe one day we'll have him guest, and Drew and Matt can fire all the questions away at him, and that would be kind of a fun episode to hear.
Yeah, and I also have two pilots lined up that I'm in the process of trying to get. I have a United 787-9 pilot who I want to interview. Then a Delta 767 pilot that we also want to interview.
Is that the 767 400 pilot?
Yeah, he flies a 400, 300, and he flies 757. Apparently, they're all interchangeable.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I was listening to a previous podcast. Shout out to Av Geeks. If you check out their podcast, they're another aviation podcast, and they were talking about the similarities between the Boeing cockpit interchange there. Very interesting. Infinite Flight Gaming 01, or as we like to call him, Allegiant. That's Allegiant. Says love the viewable lavatory. Have you guys gone into FreeCam, Matt or Drew, and just scoped out the lavatory? Apparently, that's a big deal. I'm seeing like every 5 pictures, somebody has a picture of the lavatory.
I really wish they had a person in there.
That would, well, yeah, like look, like as you zoom in to inside the lavatory, you just like their face is looking all wide-eyed at you.
Hopefully not a male.
Yeah, hopefully it's PG-13. Let's try to keep it somewhat mature.
No, I haven't looked though. I'm gonna look right now though.
Yeah, I tried looking at it, but I don't have the patience to use the free cam. So, you know what? Maybe they'll install a camera in the lavatory.
A bathroom cam.
A bathroom cam, totally legit. Ryan Green says, "I love it, even though I can't enjoy it due to vacation." I feel sorry for you, Ryan. But I mean, vacation's fun, so I don't feel too bad for you, especially if you're in some nice location. Infinite Flight Gaming 01 also says, now people can join the Mile High Club, not in the cargo hold. Very funny. William says,
Robert's already sky high, so we're good there.
Hey, yeah. I'm also apparently multiple people. Yeah, I'm just going to move on from that. Never mind.
Oh.
William says there's another mobile sim which has global and has live weather. Matt, do you know of this mobile sim?
If it is the emergency sim, we don't count that one because that's complete trash.
There we go, William. That's the reason Infinite Flight doesn't have it. Kaden Marquette says it's great for the few times I've flown it just to test it out. I look at all the different angles and cabin views. Matt, what's your favorite What's your favorite view on the new CRJ?
I'd say it's a close tie, but between the first class view of the facing back towards the wing or the first officer view.
Oh yeah, the first officer view is such a step up. I think everybody can speak to this. We are so used to seeing the cockpit from the left-hand side that just even shifting over to like the center console, like in the jump seat, even that's remarkable because you get to see another aspect, and that's why a lot of my photos you'll see I sit in the first officer's view because that's just so spectacular. Drew, what's your favorite, or what's a view that like when you're flying, and if you haven't like you plan on flying, what view do you like to test out the most?
The back row. Back row is pretty cool to me.
Yeah,
But the
right next to the
first
lavatory.
officer view is pretty nice, though. I will say that.
Yeah. Man, that first officer view. Yeah, Flying Development Studios did it right by putting that one in. Ryan Green, yeah. For those who didn't know, I actually gave the update out prematurely. I was trying to see who could catch it. I'm evil that way. So if you didn't get it, stay tuned, and we will be updating it pretty soon. The reason I don't just give it away is because where's the fun in that? That would be a 10-minute episode, and then I'd be having my DMs filled up with questions. So we're just gonna drop it at the end of the episode.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah.
Think about it this way also. We could always do it now, and then we could have time to answer questions during the podcast. So then you wouldn't need to get spammed by 10 different people to be answered at once.
And see, like, I would agree to that, except for the fact that this podcast is going to be limited to about 45 minutes. So I'm afraid that the questions would go beyond that, and then I couldn't answer them efficiently. But, I mean, I'm actually liking it because then overflow questions, people can just DM me, and that would lighten up my load a bit. So in the comments, drop below if you'd like me to drop this update. And I keep calling it update. It's more just like a change to FVA. Yeah. So if you would like to hear the update now, go ahead and drop a comment. If you'd like me to wait and keep the surprise, just also comment that. Infinite Flight Gaming says, personally, I enjoy the cockpit view with the windshield wipers going. I do enjoy that. And I actually did a flight recently, Long Beach to John Wayne, just to test it out. And it's like I simulated a weather storm, and because of the wind, the wings were actually doing their wing flex, and it kind of felt like a turbulent moment in a storm. And so I hit that windshield wipers, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly where I'm enjoying seeing it come from. So, what about you guys? Have you guys tested out the new windshield wipers?
Yeah, I mean a little bit.
Yeah, they're the most exciting thing on the planet for you, aren't they, Matt?
I mean, I turned them on, but that's
Turn them on.
You guys are so full of enthusiasm.
It's about as much as I did.
What did you do? I turned the windshield wipers on.
I turned them on. I was like, wait, why did they hear there's no weather? Turn them off. Never touched it since.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, but it's a definite step up from what we've been having. So.
It is a nice touch. I will say that.
All right, guys. I'm going to. I mean, it seems like it's been pretty unanimous. I want to forewarn you guys that you may not like what you're about to hear. You may be absolutely ecstatic and start going, stripping naked and throwing popcorn in the sky and screaming to whatever person you adore. I don't know. But if you don't like what you're about to hear, I'm just forewarning you. I apologize. I'm just gonna shoot this out, and we'll be around to answer questions for about, I want to say, 20 minutes. And if your question does not get answered, no matter, just DM me. If you don't know me, just talk to one of the moderators in the chat. Please don't spam questions. I do realize that this is going to be something big, and I do realize the want for your question to be answered maybe out there. Maybe I'm overshooting this and nobody's going to have any questions. But if you do, try to keep it to one question, not spammed, and we'll do our best to answer them. This is the moment that I have been dreading, I'll be honest. I prepared a whole speech for this, and it was kind of fine-tuned down to the last moment, about 5 minutes before we started. Matt and Drew were getting in a Google Hangouts call, and they were asking me to join, but I was like, I need to fix the way this one sentence sounds. So that, guys, is why it took me so long to join. But all right, here we go. Man, this is gonna be hard, guys. I had a vision 2 years ago. It started in 2016 of August 11th. I had joined the Infinite Flight Simulator. I had joined the Infinite Flight community forums, and I had found out about this thing called a virtual airline. It intrigued me. I tried out a few, but none of them ever had the companionship, the aviation fun that I had wanted to feel, because I love aviation, and I felt like I needed to find a group that felt the same way. So on September 21st of 2016, I co-founded with somebody who isn't here anymore, Frontier Virtual Airlines, and it kind of went from there. And this vision that I had, and I'm not talking about the one where you're on a planet surrounded by luxuries. I'm talking the one where I formed the virtual airline with a flight simulator and create some of the strongest friendships I've ever had. Frontier Virtual Airlines was never a pet project. I put my heart, soul, and time into it. I just dedicated everything I had. Frontier VA was a day in and day out, sweating my heart out and tears for. There were times that it was just so emotional that I broke down, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. The strain and the work just broke me down, but many people were there for me. A lot of you guys and those listening are unaware of how hard it is to be a CEO of a VA, especially for 2 years now. I was diagnosed with depression after my 7-year-old brother suddenly died, which is a root cause, but enough about that. Frontier Virtual has always stood for family-like attitudes. When you join, you are promised a loving group of av geeks who share your dedication and adoration for aviation. We work as a family. We stand united as a family. We are a family. We are the Frontier family. But like most families, we do have our arguments. We do have our downtimes. Sometimes families can be tense, and members can hold grudges, and there can be internal strife. But what makes us different from other VAs is that we haven't broken up over internal issues. We haven't fought to and caused the airline to die. We work through them because that's just who we are. We're not just a family because of the bad times. We are a family because we strive through, gosh, I'm getting emotional here, and push through the good times. So it is with great regret, and it does break my heart to have to finally announce this. Even from day one of this VA's inception, I did dread this day. I knew it would come, and it is. As of May 19th, 0600 Zulu time, I will be officially retiring as Chief Executive Officer for Frontier Virtual Airlines after almost 2 years of service. This choice is the hardest decision as a leader I've ever had to make. Yeah. When one knows that their time is up, a tendency to delay the inevitable arises. I've spent the past couple of weeks delaying it. As you can see in this episode, I didn't even want to get to it. I kept wanting to stall for it. I could have dragged this out and lied to all of you and told you that I was happy in my position and that I would never retire. But it is with a true heavy heart. And trust me, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do for a virtual airline. I will be stepping down, and there are a lot of reasons for this, but at the forefront is the idea and the concept that I don't have the energy for the work and time anymore. My social life's been suffering. My relationship with my family's been suffering. And that's just what it is to be a CEO. You have to take so much of your time, your dedication, your life to making sure that, the family around you is for you, is with you. And that's just, after 2 years of service, it's just getting too much. And I did dread this day, but it has come, and I have been talking with my staff, and they have agreed to a certain number of agreements. And at some point, I needed to step down before I started a fake image and before the airline began to decline. There are a lot of other reasons for this stepping down, but at that forefront is that, and all the work and time and behind the scenes labor it takes while trying to keep a positive and family-like mentality it's just too much for me. Daniel, who is currently in this episode behind the scenes, and Captain Matt, who is very shortly going to be promoted to the left-hand seat. He is co-host and advisor to FVA and will be stepping in jointly to take command with Daniel. They have been incredibly amazing in this change, and I am so impressed, honored, and flattered that they would be willing to take over this position that I have been trying to hold for 2 years now. I am still here. Before this announcement drops, I just want to assure you that I am not leaving Frontier Virtual Airlines. I am still here. Daniel and Matt have graciously extended an invitation to remain as staff, and more specifically as an advisor to them. I'm also going to be doing a few things, like I will still be host to the Frontier Virtual podcast. This episode is no exception to any others. Episode 19, I'll be back with you all, and we'll be interviewing guests and continuing our aviation life. I will be working on the route system for Frontier Virtual. So I will still be around, and it is hard, and I do apologize for getting emotional. I knew this day would come, but it's never easy having to tell, people that you've been with for 2 years, people that, you've come to, form such a strong bond with. It's never easy to have to look them in the eye or, send them a message and be like, guys, it's over. I need to step down. The end is here. So, and I can't believe I actually got through that. Thank you, everyone, for being an amazing group. And I'm absolutely honored to have been your CEO. Matt, if you could take over for a sec.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much for staying strong through everything you've been through. And I guess now we will open up to questions with me representing both Daniel and myself as the new representations for Frontier Virtual. So ask ahead. Okay, so I want to make clear, first of all, that like Daniel said, like Robert said, he will not be leaving us, but he is going to stay here. He's going to stay in the FVA. He's going to stay on staff. He's going to be our advisor, and he's not going to leave us, not even close to that. He's going to be with us the whole time. And so, FFI Gaming 01 asked, will FVA remain open? Absolutely. Me and Daniel will make changes. We will definitely try to get FVA on track, and we will make FVA better than it's ever been before. Hey, Robert, you okay, man?
Yeah, thanks. I just had to pinch myself a couple times, watch a few horror movies, but I'm back. Thanks for taking over, guys, and thank you so much for being an amazing family for me, and thank you for standing by. It's a lot of people are unaware of how emotionally attached I am to FVA, so maybe this isn't as big of an update or as big of a move for you guys, but for me, it's almost the end of the world. So I'm gonna, like Matt said, we're gonna open up questions. I know throughout the little speech that I just had for you guys, Matt was assuring you guys I'm still here, and I am definitely still here. But if you have questions on what's going to change, because as most people know, once a leadership change happens, a lot of things are going to change. Our rank system is up to change. Everything's up to change. So, yeah, I'm going to open the floor to questions. If you have any, how this change is going to affect, please drop a question below. If not, I'll open the episode back up to the staff, and we will conclude today's episode with answering some questions that the IFC Forums has for us. And that'll be it for today's episode. It's going to be a bit of a short one, guys, simply because I can't handle being on air this long with this kind of an update.
Okay, I have some quick questions, Robert, if you do want to let me answer those while you go grab a coffee, relax.
Absolutely, man.
Okay. So let me answer whose question is it? So okay, Caden was going to ask us what other plans me and Daniel are going to have in the future. Well, first and most obvious are we're going to bump up and bump down certain staff members to help relieve the stress at our VA and to help balance the leadership here to allow for a more efficient and stronger virtual airline. And Hockey Man asks who will replace other staff positions. I am currently in the process of interviewing certain people, and none of them have been disclosed yet, but there are definitely positions open still that I'm not saying we are looking for more people, but we are definitely in the process of trying to figure out who we are going to choose for more certain particular positions. And then Ryan Green asked about partnerships. We are definitely looking into partnerships. I mean, nothing's going to change. Our previous partnerships will still be our partners, and we will, if anything, we'll grow stronger with them. And we are always open for more partnerships, assuming they are a worthy partner for us and they are serious about partnerships. And Theo Shifen 200, you can message me or Daniel in a PM about that, and we will discuss that later. Hey Drew, do you have anything to say at all?
I don't think no. I think you got everything. Robert obviously got his, speech out of the way. Nothing I can think of off the top. I mean, Allegiant said operate the same aircraft and routes. Yeah, obviously that'll say the same. But
yeah,
just going through chat. Yeah, everything looks.
Okay, also
yeah.
Another announcement we are going to be doing is, this is almost completely confirmed, but the CRJ will be available to everyone, first of all. That's going to be bumped down to the lowest rank along with the A318 because, we thought about it and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a pilot to go from the A321 back down to a CRJ because CRJ is a regional aircraft and that's where people usually start. And any new routes or aircraft to the fleet, no new aircraft. However, routes are definitely a possibility. We will see with the demand how people will want new routes, and we will add them as we go.
Yeah, and to also input into that question, I am, for those curious, I am still also going to be helping out with the route system as I have, an extensive knowledge of Frontier. So our current Airbus fleet and its route system will constantly be updated as the real world airline updates. So routes are never going to go stagnant. As for the CRJ, I've published as one of my last, executive commands. I've published a route system for the CRJ that, initially you can fly, and that route system is also going to expand. We do hope to have routes into Trenton, Mercer, and I'm going to debate with, this is funny to say, but I'm going to debate with our new CEOs and talk to them about their thoughts about switching certain hubs. And they have graciously allowed me to stay on as route manager, but I'm still going to be using their feedback. So the routes won't change. If anything, there's going to be more routes than less.
And William asks, what if people are going to be doing a 5-hour flight with CRJ? Trust me, someone has tried that, and you will crash because there'll be not enough fuel. And same with gaming asks, so pretty much what's going to be happening is me and Daniel are both going to have equal positions of power as joint CEOs, because that way teamwork, like everyone says, teamwork is always going to be better. And so us two are going to be constantly in communication. We're going to be kind of managing different parts of the VA, and we will always be working together to have the best experience possible for our virtual airline. And Theo asks, will we have a final fight with Robert as CEO? Right now, I'm pretty sure he's already resigned, sadly, but me and Daniel will definitely plan to keep up the internal events, and we will definitely make a retirement flight with Robert. That is a priority. We will do that, definitely.
I look forward to that.
And most likely we will make a heart around Robert, like we wanted to do with the Southwest event. And obviously, yeah, Robert will stay active in the Slack if you want to talk about that, Robert.
Yeah, so this was the biggest thing I was concerned about in announcing that I was retiring or resigning, however you want to put it, is that people are going to, be worried that I'm going to completely leave. I'm closing out all doors, leaving. You're never going to hear from me again. It's going to be like, I died. You're never going to hear. No, it's not going to be like that, guys. All I'm doing is stepping down from a leadership position that I just physically and mentally do not have the capability to run anymore. And from interior, like it took a while for me to figure this out, but it was actually 3 weeks ago. I was looking at Slack. It was almost completely dead. No new updates had happened. Very few people had talked. And all I could think of was, everybody's burned out and there's nothing I can give them. So it was almost a relief, kind of an internal excuse, if you will, that I was like, oh, okay, this is a perfect reason for me to switch it up, go back to just being a regular staff member and let new minds, new thoughts into the airline. And as Matt said, a lot of things are going to change. We're going to, I keep saying we, but, Daniel and Matt are going to drop the rank system into a new priority. And I'm really excited. Just hearing Matt talk about it, I honestly could not have found a better two amazing people to take over the airline. So you guys are in for an absolute treat. But, I ramble. I digress. To answer the question, yes, I will be active on Slack. I'm still a staff member, and I cannot thank Daniel and Matt enough for letting me remain. I initially was just planning on leaving, but Matt and Daniel talked sense into me.
Yeah, we've been able to let you leave.
Yeah. So I will be, just to re-clarify, I'm going to be the FVACast host. Basically what I'm doing right now. I'm still going to be doing this. I'm also going to be the FVA route spokesperson, meaning I'm in charge after getting clearance to do so. I'm in charge of setting up new routes with the CRJ, of updating the route system. I am also going to remain behind as an advisor. After 2 years, I have learned a little bit deeper into the into the VA world than a lot of people have. So when Matt and Daniel have any issues that they're like, I don't know how to handle this, I'm always there for them.
Just ban them.
Just ban them. That's why you are, yeah. You scare me sometime, Matt. But I do like the idea of a final flight. I mean, I just think that would be fun. And it's not a final flight for me. I'm not leaving Infinite Flight. But there are some downsides to this. I haven't really talked to this to other people, but I will be planning on stepping down and leaving the Infinite Flight community forums almost permanently. I will be checking in once a week to make sure my DMs and any questions by you guys are answered, but you can expect to see no more of me, of glorious me, on the community forums. Matt or Daniel are going to take up the responsibility of answering your questions on the Infinite Flight community thread. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Although I digress. I actually am going to be posting FVAcast threads, so you will see me for those type of threads. But for anything FVA related, I will be El Gano. I feel like I'm not even the host anymore. Like I should be turn this back over to Matt. But we have been reaching the end of our episode time length. Guys, thank you for being so amazing. You guys reacted so much better to this. I like the hashtag FVA strong. That's very comforting, guys. I'm back full. You'll never hear me sound emotional again. And that was just such a difficult thing for me to do. And now that it's over, I feel like I'm a new man. Yeah, so thank you guys. And please keep your earphones in until this episode has come to a full and complete stop. One of our crew members will then be here in the comments section to answer any questions you may have about connecting episodes. If you'd like to find out more about us, or if you'd like to congrats Daniel and Matt, please find us in the Infinite Flight community forums or in our FVA Slack. On behalf of this crew operating your episode today and all flying on board with us, I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for everything you've done for me. I thank you for letting me be your CEO for 2 years. And I thank you for transitioning to Daniel and Matt. And I hope, pray, and we'll be strong with you guys, and that we give them our full cooperation, and that FVA moves forward. So without a doubt, I'll see you guys in episode 19, where we may have some guests come in. I know it's been FVA related a lot, but we're starting to bring the guests back. Clear skies and smooth landings, everyone.